Hello, mech warriors, and welcome back. We're continuing our review of Eques Lance with the brawler of the group, the Eques 4, a deadly hunchback equipped for up-close and personal combat. Notable changes to this mech include 2 claws on either hand and machine guns installed in the hunchback's trademark hunch. But before we get into any comparisons, I have to deliver TMC's team some bad news, and that is that this hunchback has been sent backwards through time in some kind of black hole, which has given it some sort of anti-gravity powers, apparently. There is a lot wrong with the Eques 4. First of all, it's listed as a Hunchback 4G variant. This is false. It carries an AC-10, and so is actually a variant of the heretical Hunchback 4H, which replaces the AC-20 with an AC-10 and 2 medium lasers. The machine guns have taken the gun ports of the 2 medium lasers that are normally found on the 4H. The Eques 4 carries a large amount of defensive equipment that will not be invented for over a decade. A-pods were first introduced in 3054, well into the clan invasion, 13 years after the events of Hired Steel. And shaft pods are a prototype defensive system invented by the Lyrans in 3066. Technically, claws are also not currently a legal piece of equipment since they're invented in 3045. For this video, we're going to let that slide and say that they managed to get some equipped onto the mech. But the most egregious problem is that this mech is 6 tons overweight. Now, if you remove the 2 claws, the mech is 2 tons underweight. So I think that the designer just got mixed up and thought that claws only weighed a single ton. Claw weight and critical space is affected by mech weight. So in the case of a 50-ton mech, a claw will take up 4 critical slots and 4 tons apiece. So first we have to fix this thing. And while we're at it, I suppose we should put the hunch in the correct torso. There we go. That's more like it. We've removed all the future tech, and we've put the hunch in the right side. We've maintained a single claw in the right arm so that this thing can still do some up-close and dirty fighting. Now we can do a fair comparison. Right off the bat, I'm not a big fan of the armor spread on the Eques 4. It's removed some of its torso armor in order to reinforce the back and the legs. Meanwhile, it's stripped off half a ton of armor overall and removed that from the arms. This is probably why we see the left arm being blown off so easily. I do like that they've increased the rear side torso armor to 5. That is actually one of the weaknesses of the hunchback. If a medium laser hits either of its side rear torsos, it can knock out the main gun or crit the ammo bins, which both essentially put the hunchback out of action. Its main guns and ammo are located in the left and right torso. These are extremely important, and having 20 armor on them, like the old design, is really good in my opinion. It can take 2 PPC shots or a whole barrage of medium lasers before going internal. The center torso has also been significantly thinned to put extra armor on the back. If you're going to up armor the rear, it should be in increments of 5 and or 2. These are breakpoints, meaning that let's say you have 7 armor on the rear, you can take a medium laser and a shot from an SRM without going internal. I think I can see what the purpose of the Eques 4 is in the Lance, considering that they didn't have any other units that were reasonably heavily armored, and they also had no way of dealing with infantry. I'm pretty sure that this is the Eques 4's role. It's an anti-infantry unit, especially with the A-pods that it was carrying in the legs. And it's meant to be a bodyguard and a line mech in the Lance to interpose itself in between the other members and the enemy. I can understand the need to have someone with anti-infantry weaponry. Unfortunately, I was not able to include machine gun ammo while making the mech legal. So I think the first thing to go in our redesign will definitely be the claw, and we're gonna look at increasing the number of machine guns and decreasing the amount of ammo, because the Eques 4 was originally carrying 2 full tons of machine gun ammo, 400 shots, making this thing an absolute walking bomb. But even aside from that, let's say that we were able to put some machine gun ammo in this thing, it's still a straight downgrade from the Hunchback 4H in my opinion. 2 machine guns is not a replacement for 2 medium lasers in terms of firepower, and the small laser is actually, a significant increase in firepower as well. I didn't want to spend too much time on the basic refit to make it legal, so I kind of forgot that I could just remove some heat sinks and put some ammo in instead, so just take that into consideration. But let's say I did remove those heat sinks, 3 of them. We now have a mech that produces 9 heat on the move. That's gaining 1 heat. So It's also over sync. The original Eques 4 should have removed the heat sinks and maybe strapped in either some more machine guns for more anti-infantry power, or maybe strapped on one extra medium laser, and that way it can have some extra close range punch at the cost of heating up a little bit. The 4H has actually a pretty decent heat sinking capacity. Most Hunchbacks have 13 heat sinks like the original 4G does, and on an Alpha Strike this thing produces 16 heat, which means that if it's walking it only goes to 4 heat, which is perfect. It can walk up to you, Alpha Strike with reasonable accuracy, and then reposition the next turn while shutting off a couple of medium lasers. I like this design. I do prefer the original 4G, and that is for a very specific reason. A mech that has the role that Eques 4 has should be very, very scary at close range. That is its purpose. These half measures with taking an AC-10 rather than an AC-20 and offsetting it with a couple of medium lasers, that's pretty decent, and it does increase the unit's flexibility. It almost doubles its effective range with its main weapon. But that 20 damage punch is so scary because it's gonna take about half of a light mech, not its armor, but half of a light mech, and just rip that piece off the unit. On a medium mech, it's gonna go internal pretty much anywhere it hits. That concentrated punch of damage is really, really important. There is no greater armor-piercing weapon. In 3041, there is nothing scarier than an AC-20 staring you down. So, let's get to our redesign. First, we're going to add some armor. Now, it's personal preference whether you keep the left and right torso at 19 on the front and 5 on the back, or vice versa. Considering that Eques 4 is usually going to be alone, putting aside my redesign of the Shadowhawk to make it into a cavalry unit, it's probably going to get flanked, so I'm going to keep the armor how it is here. We're definitely removing that claw, we quite simply just don't have the tonnage for it. And we're bringing back the AC-20, baby. Now, since the AC-20 pretty much takes up most of the torso, it's kind of necessary to put the ammo in the other side, if you want to have case. And we definitely do. Now, since the energy mount for the head is probably still available, we're going to move one of the medium lasers into the head. Now it can still shoot behind itself with one medium laser, and some of its firepower is on the left side of the unit and not just the right side. There's a pretty good argument to be made to put a couple of heat sinks in here to crit pad the AC-20 as well. So we'll do just that. We're going to reduce the number of heat sinks by 1 to take some extra machine guns. So there you have it, folks. I think that the OG Hunchback is the right unit for the job, and this slightly enhanced version of it is especially effective. Instead of one small laser, it's got 5 machine guns that it can use up close. If you're using rapid fire rules, half a ton of ammo is probably not going to be close to enough. So if you're doing that, you only take 4 machine guns and take an extra half ton of ammo. But essentially, this is what you want in a bodyguard mech. It's extremely scary up close. It has solid armor all around. It has 1 medium laser to discourage flankers that it can fire behind itself. And I have pretty well crit padded the ammo, I think. You could take this 1 heat sink out of the leg and pop it up into here or something like that to make it less likely that you'll get ammo crit, but overall I think this will get the job done a lot better. When I removed the twin SRM-6s from the Eques 1, I removed most of the crit seeking ability of the unit, so we've added these machine guns back in so that we can still crit out enemy components. And even if one of the side torsos gets taken out and this thing's firepower goes from a 40 damage Alpha Strike to maybe just 1 medium laser breath coming out of its head, it's still got something, you know? Because let me tell you, the Hunchback is not a mech that disengages from combat well. That 4-6 movement profile does not do it any favors if it's trying to make a retreat, and what Hunchback pilot would be making a retreat anyways? Do note that the mech has a little bit of a heating problem. Since we've dripped out one of the heat sinks, it'll gain 1 heat every time it Alpha Strikes, even if it's standing still. But even if it's running every single turn, it'll only start slowing down after 2 turns, and it will only affect its accuracy after 3 turns. And let me tell you, if something's still alive after 3 rounds of being in close range of a Hunchback, either it's about to no longer be a problem, or you have a major issue on your hands. So let me know what you think in the comments, Mech Warriors. I was disappointed to see that the team at TMC made an illegal mech. Thus far, all of the designs have been using just cutting-edge tech, but things that are 13 years and 25 years out of production is just a little bit too much for me. Although the chaff pod did look really, really cool, I will admit. If you did want to provide some cover to the Hunchback, I might recommend adding some vehicular grenade launchers in place of some of the machine guns with smoke rounds in them. A viewer on the catapult video left a helpful comment that reminded me that these exist, and I think that that's actually probably what the catapult was supposed to be using instead of vehicular mine dispensers. So, you know, another small mistake there, but no big deal. Or you could of course add an anti-missile system and some ammo for it. This would take 3 of your machine guns away though, but really, you can't go wrong with a classic. Good old AC-20, as the Hunchback was meant to have. To the lovely people at TMC, if you need a mech designer, I'm available. Thanks for watching, Mech Warriors. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see more Battletech content. I've also got some TTRPG content on my channel, so go have a look at that if you like. And check out the Mech Lab for tips on how to become a better mech warrior every day. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.